I was scammed at a gas station in 2015 in Mexico. What they did to me was they ran my card, then claimed my card did not work, and then I paid cash. And then when I got home, I was kind of aware of some of these scams and I watched my credit card statement. And sure enough, that first charge posted and they were trying to charge me twice for the gas. Fortunately, I use a good travel credit card with no fraud liability. And so I called my issuer and they resolved it. They refunded me the money immediately. And then, on the back end, went out and pursued the gas station attendant. I'm not sure what they do, but I got my money back. They gave me a new credit card. That was kind of the extent of my interest. So here we are in 2024, and the gas station attendants still do the same thing. So there's a couple kind of tricky scam things that the gas station attendants here do, and I'm going to lay them out for you. Here in Mexico, you can't pump your own gas. You pull up to the gas station, and there's an attendant who will pump your gas and then act like your cashier. So you don't go inside, you don't touch the gas handle thing. They kind of do it all for you. And while it's a nice service, it does open up a lot of doors for fraud. So here's how it's supposed to go. You pull in, you tell the attendant what you want. They say, "Oh, I want you to fill it up with the green one, the regular one." They fill it up to that amount. They get the number off the pump, 1,000 pesos or whatever, and then they put it on the credit card terminal. They bring it to you, you put in your card, push in your whatever, and it charges you. Or you pay them cash directly. They give you the receipt and you go on your way. That's how it's supposed to work. So here are the top 6 scams that these guys do around this process to get extra money out of you or to somehow take advantage of you. Number 1, this is what happened to me. The declined credit card charge, where they say, "Hey, your card didn't go through. I'm not sure what's going on. Can you give me another card to try or can you pay cash?" And since sometimes this does happen, you kind of think, "Oh, okay, yeah, here you go, whatever." And then you get home and you find out that both of your cards were charged for the gas, or you paid cash and then you still were charged for the gas. So that's the common one. That's what happened to me. You got to kind of watch out for that. This is especially relevant for American cards that don't require PIN codes. Most credit cards, like in Europe and Canada, require a PIN code. But in America, they just require a signature that nobody validates against anything. So it's kind of easy to fake that or even not collect it because no one checks it. So as an American, you're especially susceptible to the declined credit card charge scam. The second one you'll see is where they say that their credit card machine didn't work. They'll say, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm not getting service out here," because they use Wi-Fi. "Oh yeah, I'm not getting good service," or "Oh, the battery's dead. I'm gonna go get another terminal," and they walk off with your credit card. And what they do is they go get the other terminal. Again, they charge you twice. They come back, "Okay, yeah, it's working. Here you go." When they went out behind the shed, they basically charged it again or did some other thing. And again, as an American credit card, you're kind of susceptible to that type of fraud. And hopefully your bank just refunds you because, you travel with a good travel credit card. The next thing they'll do sometimes is they will highly insist on managing the inputs on the device, right? Like they'll say, "Hey, um, give me your card." And if they see it's a debit card, they might be like, "Okay, yeah, now what's your PIN?" And they'll, offer to put in your PIN for you. First of all, never give anyone your PIN. Second of all, never use a debit card. You should always be using a credit card. The other thing they can do in this instance, and this actually happened to me a couple weeks ago, but I'm not saying I was scammed because I think the lady just didn't know what she was doing, was when they put in your card, the terminal will ask them if they want to charge you or if you want to be charged in pesos or in dollars. And if you watch any of my videos, I always say, always pay in the local currency. Your bank will always give you a better exchange rate than whatever, street gas station is going to give you. What they can do is say, "Oh, did you want to pay in pesos or dollars?" And the pesos amount will be whatever, and the dollar amount will be always some absurd exchange rate, 15 to 20% markup. They put that in as you go through the procedure. So I always insist on doing it. You look at the pump, see what the amount is. They put the amount in. I look at it, verify what's on the thing, put in my card, put charge pesos. Yes, I signed the receipt. Um, and what happened to me was this attendant. I think she was new because she kind of looked, had that new air about her. She asked me, and I said, "Oh yeah, charge me in pesos." And she was like, "Okay." And I think she just accidentally pushed the wrong button because when I got the receipt, it showed that I was charged, I can't remember, like $50 instead of whatever it was in pesos. And I said, "Hey, did you charge me?" "Oh, no, that's just what the amount would be if we charged you in dollars." And I said, "Okay, well, why does it have a little check mark by it? Like, that looks like you charged me in dollars." "Oh, no, no, no." And then we kind of double checked, and sure enough, it was charged in dollars. And the guy just said, "Yeah, like, we don't really do refunds." And it was a couple dollars difference. I wasn't too worked up about it, but I did kind of gently give the attendant a little lesson on why it's important to charge in pesos versus dollars, right? So that's something that can happen. Again, I don't think that'll happen to you. If you're using a debit card and giving your PIN, you shouldn't be traveling anyway. It should always be credit cards. So on to the next thing. The next one they do is not transaction related, but actual gas station machine related. What you'll do is pull in and you'll say, okay, yeah, I want it full, whatever, and you don't really look. And what happens is the gas station meter, the thing that tells you will already have some money on it. Like it will start at like 400 pesos or 3 liters or whatever it is. And you're not paying attention. They've already ran up the meter a little bit. And then they fill up your car and your charge is 400 pesos artificially higher because they didn't start the meter at 0. So whenever you pull in, you want to verify that the meters are reset to 0 before they start pumping gas. But I'll get into recommendations in the next section. So that is one that they do, is that they don't reset the gas meter and you end up paying more than you consumed. The next one here is a cash sleight of hand if you're paying with cash. Here in Mexico, the 500 peso and the 50 peso bill are kind of similar. And, if you're just kind of pulling them out, 5-0, and one's blue and one's kind of bluish green, so they kind of look similar. And then say it's 1,000 pesos and you give the guy 2 500s, and then you look away for a second to put your wallet back and he says, oh, you only gave me a 50 and a 500. And you kind of look at it and you think, oh yeah, maybe I did do that, because they're similar looking. And it's, if you don't live here, maybe you picked the wrong one. If you live here, you're usually a little better about that. But they say that and they show you a 50 and a 500 and you go, oh, I'm so sorry. And then you give them another 500, right? So that happens if you pay cash. I never pay cash, so I've never had that happen to me, but I do know that's one that they will do if they feel like you don't really know the money very well. The very last one they can do, and this one is kind of tricky to understand if you're not in front of the meter, but if you pull in and ask them you want to prepay, say 500 pesos. You pull in and say, yeah, I want 500 pesos of regular. They say, okay, great. What they do is on the machine, they put in 500 pesos and then they start it, go around, and it fills up to 500 pesos, slows down and stops. That's how it's supposed to work. What they will do sometimes, if you're not really paying attention, is they will put in 500 and then it kind of goes. And when it gets to like 200 or 300, they will stop it. And then the numbers say like 300. And then when you're not watching, they will reset it, like put 500 back in. And then they will show you like, oh, we got to 500. And they make sure that you see that. And what they're doing is they're covering up the quantity of liters, because obviously when it got to 300 pesos, it also ratcheted up the number of liters you got. And so when they reset it to say 500 on the top, where they know you're going to look, the liters consumed will be 0 because it was also reset. So when they try and pull that scam, they will usually kind of cover up the bottom part where it shows the number of liters they pumped and be like, okay, yeah, we made it 500, and kind of hope you don't notice. Again, that's not super common unless you prepay, but it can happen. What are the best practices? How do you avoid getting scammed when you get gas in Mexico? I got a couple really good ideas here. First of all, be kind but firm. These people are not your friends, but they're not your enemies, right? So you want to be firm and be polite, but an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure here. You want to pull in, be kind, but be firm in all your interactions. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of these sort of tourist trap scams happen at the gas stations by the airport because they know you're short on time. You pull in, your car gets declined, you're trying to get through it, you got to get the other one going, and you're all going to be late, and that's kind of what they rely on, that chaos, to scam you. So again, kind of high level, in addition to being firm but kind, you also want to have a little bit of time. So don't go last minute, because what you can do if you go in and they say, oh, your card was declined, you can say, okay, well, let me just call my bank. And you want to have the time to be able to call your bank, get through the, operator or whatever, and confirm that the charge is not going to go through, or if there is not a pending charge, or if there is a pending charge, make sure that it's canceled, whatever. But usually if you're thorough like that, that kind of gets you out of scam zone, because they know that like you're not in a hurry, you're not dumb. Like that will kind of scare them away a little bit. But always just have a little bit of time so that you can do your due diligence and not make bad decisions in the chaos of trying to get to the airport. So the first thing I do when I pull up to a gas station, I always pay with a credit card, because that's travel commandment number 3 or something, is I just ask them, ¿Funciona tu máquina de tarjetas? Does your card machine work? 98% of the time, it's yes, it works. Which means they can't do those first 2 scams, like, oh, the thing has declined, oh, the machine's not working, right? That kind of eliminates that. But also, it's just good to ask because I don't want to be in a position where I owe them money and have to go to an ATM or whatever. And if it's raining or if there's been a lot of poor weather, the chances are their machines might not be working legitimately. They're not trying to scam you. It's just the internet goes down when there's really bad weather. So I just like to ask them that up front. Some of the gas station attendants will be forthcoming and even tell you that the internet is down right when you pull in. Like, oh, hey, just so you know, the internet's down. And that's not that they're trying to scam you. They're just letting you know because they want to make sure they get paid. And if you're planning on paying with a card, they want you to know that. And also, the good gas stations will even have a sign out in front like this that will tell you, like, hey, watch out for these common scams. Kind of like letting you know that these are things to watch out for. And those stations are usually pretty honest. So what I'll do is I pull in, turn off the car, I get out of the car, and I turn and I watch them. And I look right at the numbers on the meter so they know that I know about that scam, right? And that right off the bat tells them that when I'm out of the car, like I'm here to talk to them. I'm not like some timid, oh, I'm out there looking at them and I'm looking at the numbers and they know that I know about the scams. And so then they will usually point 000, like word zeros, like they're telling me because they know I know. And then they will put the thing in and I watch them do it. And sometimes if they seem sketchy, I will stay out there the entire time. Just stand there, watch the whole thing, make sure that my nozzle stays in my car, that thing's counting normal. It was at zeros before it started. I had to let them touch my car, get under the hood. I just stand there and watch them. If I feel like they're a good station, and you can kind of tell that based on your frequency at the station, I'll get back in the car, but I typically don't do anything like get on my phone or do anything to kind of take my distraction or anything to distract me, anything to take my attention away. I will just sit there and kind of watch them and kind of be alert. And, it's like 5 minutes. We can all stand to be not distracted for 5 minutes, right? And again, what we're doing here is we're establishing with them that we know about the scams. And once you do that, they kind of know that you're not an easy victim for them. The next thing I do is when you pay, you make sure you verify that the number on the meter is 1,000 pesos. That matches what they input on the thing. I always check both of those, and I make sure that they see me checking so that like they know that I know. And then I make sure that I pay in pesos, and then I make sure that I get a receipt every single time. I don't typically pay with cash, but if I were to pay with cash, what I would do to make sure that they don't do the sleight of hand thing is if I had 1,000 pesos, I would pull out two 500s and I would say, quinientos, quinientos, 500, 500, and like look at them. And like they say yes, and I say yes, and I give them to them. That way we both know that it was right, right? They can't do a sleight of hand thing. And at the end of all this, not everyone's out to get you. Some people are, but again, if you're kind of forthcoming and you're out of the car being, asserting that they're gonna be honest and do right by you. Just a quick side note, when I first moved to Mexico, I used to feel kind of bad about sort of double checking everyone's work because I felt like I was like questioning their integrity and maybe that was insulting. But in this case, these gas station guys have screwed so many people. They scam everyone. Like it is okay to question their integrity because they have earned that sort of reputation for themselves. So do not feel bad about questioning every step along the way. Typically here in Mexico, when you get gas, you always tip the attendant, 5 to 10 pesos, kind of whatever you have change. If they go above and beyond, like check your air pressure in your car or in your tires or like wash the windshield, I'll usually pay them like 20 pesos. It would be bad manners not to tip them anything. So if you're a foreigner and you're here, try and tip them, 5 to 10 pesos. Not a lot. It's like 50 cents in American. Anyway, those are my 6 scams and how to avoid them. I hope this helps you be a safer fuel consumer here in Mexico, and we'll see you in the next video.